Hi, my name's Phil Kavanagh. I'm an old boat builder and I've done a lot of sailing in my life as well, among other things. As you can see, I'm inside this tent in front of an old boat. It's called Jabiru. I bought it 5 months ago. What I'm going to do is document the bringing of this boat back to life with a series of videos, probably on YouTube. It'll be fun, I hope, to watch, and it'll show the journey of getting a boat like this back together. And so if you're expecting to do something like this yourself, have a good look at it and see how many holes you may fall into on the way, because that's what I'll show. My first hole being I fell off a pallet of bricks at work 2 months ago, and I've lost that 2 months, or the boat revival has lost that 2 months. I'm looking forward. I'm actually itching to get back into it now, so I'm nearly fixed and I'll be off these crutches in a couple of weeks. So this first episode will show the start of the journey, where I found her, what conditions she was in, a little bit of the history as much as I can find out, and then we'll go from there. So hope you enjoy it. I'm approaching the end of my working life now, but there is time for one last little project, reviving Jabiru, this 85-year-old motorboat. I like to call it our gentleman's launch, and it will be used in Pittwater and the Hawkesbury River for weekends fishing with the grandkids. We do that already, but with Jabiru it will be with a bit more style. At the beginning of April 2021, after 3 years looking for the right boat, I found Jabiru advertised on Facebook Marketplace, and the photos in the advertisement showed an old canoe stern motorboat which looked like it had been out of the water for a long time. It turned out to be nearly 10 years. At first glance, I dismissed the thought of buying it and repairing this boat, as it was obvious the cabin was full of rot and it was likely that the hull was going to be coming apart from weathering and a lack of salt water. It was still on the market a month later. At the end of April, I was travelling south past the Port Stephens area where Jabiru was languishing. On a whim, I decided to take the turn off and have a look. When I got there, it looked sad, with fallen tree branches having punctured the cabin roof and the deck. And there were leaves and twigs littering the cockpit, and they were all over the deck as well. The engine was open to the weather, and it looked rusty and uncared for. Surprisingly, while the cabin structure was rotten and falling apart, the hull didn't look too bad. The deck had been weatherproofed with glass and resin, and the bilge had received a very liberal dose of hot pitch, preventing rainwater from causing the usual rot damage. The negative aspect of the pitch treatment is that all the limber holes are blocked, preventing fast passage of water to the midship open drain hole. However, this does not seem to have caused any long-lasting problems that I can see, at least so far. By the time I continued the journey home, I'd agreed to buy Jabiru. During the following months, I've tried to find out some more of the history of this boat. Several Facebook posts didn't bring forward very much information, but the responses did show me how much interest there is in old wooden boats. That's why I'm doing this series of videos, to document the process and show you the joys and the pitfalls of bringing an old wooden boat back to life. contacted the Port Stephens Examiner, and Marie Ellie Watts very kindly published a request for information in June. Many people who knew this boat in the Port Stephens area contacted me from that article, with the best information coming from Lynn Kennedy, the daughter of George Kennedy, who with his father Harold bought the boat hire business in Nelson Bay in 1946. Jabiru was the workboat and came with the boat hire business when the Kennedys took over. Earlier, the boat hire business had been started by Roger and Norman Light at the Nelson Bay Wharf in 1934. I can't find out when Jabiru was purchased and brought into the business. Maybe she was built in 1934, so that will be my assumption until I find out different. If you know anything about the early life of this boat, I'd really like to know, so please contact me. My contact details are at the end of this video. Lynn Kennedy has been able to tell me a little bit about how Jabiru was utilised in the business. It was used to service the lights on all the navigation buoys in and around Port Stephens for many years. And another notable use was that whenever the ferry at Tea Gardens broke down, Jabiru ferried people and goods across the Myall River to Hawk's Nest. The major part of her work, apart from general workboat duties, was to take very popular fishing parties out to sea and up to Broughton Island for day trips. During 1987, the facilities at the Nelson Bay Wharf were redeveloped, morphing into a large marina complex. I'm not sure of the timing, but it's likely that both the boat hire business and the shed with the slipway at Little Beach, also owned by the Kennedys, stopped operating at the same time. The boat shed and slipway is now the Little Beach Boathouse restaurant. What immediately happened to Jabiru in 1987 is also unclear, but eventually she ended up on dry land at Frost Road and a bay, and that's where I found her.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. The next time we'll look at preparing this site and moving the boat down here from Port Stephens, getting it covered with this tent. We may include removal of the engine and stuff like that as well. Been a bit of a long process and certainly held up by me being out of action for 2 months. So I'll see you next time. Bye.